And welcome back to the Rodriguez Show. And we have our very special guest for this episode, Rudy Six. How's it going, man?
It is going, Caesar. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have you on the show, but I mean, I wish it was for a different, circumstance. But here we are, and we're doing what we can. And the thing you're doing is you're streaming to raise money for the National Lawyers Guild Mass Defense Fund, which is basically bail money for everybody that's protesting, right?
Yeah, they do. So that's one. That was the first way that I heard about what they do. But yeah, the main function is to provide bail and legal fees. But they also do organizational support where they'll come out and give legal counsel. They can actually work with people to show them how to just different ways to go about protesting. They can just do consulting on those sort of things, laying out the legal sort of ramifications of various actions. But yeah, they provide sort of a lot of different guidance, and then they also fund other people starting bail and support funds.
Well, that's great. So right away we'll get into how you're streaming and everything. But if you want to donate, and you're listening right now. It's streamlabs.com/6cbaby. That's SIXYBB. It's simple. We'll post links to that in the description and on our Instagram. And we'll get into the thing that's been happening in the world for the past week and a half, the reaction to the death of George Floyd, but there's also the COVID-19 situation happening at the same time. How have you been doing with the quarantine?
Well, living the dream here in scenic my room.
Yeah.
It's wild, and I think that a lot of introverted or pseudo introverted people will say that even they aren't prepared for what this is. You can have all the tools and everything you need to be stuck at home, but we're biological creatures that rely on one another, and it's just weird.
It is weird to just because I don't like to go out that much either, but I don't like to stay in this much either.
It's wild because I literally just wrapped up a year of every time that I would go out, it was reluctant. It was oh gosh, I just really did not want to be social for a lot leading up to the quarantine. And then I felt like as soon as I was ready to get back out there and just live life and do the thing, it was no, bitch, sit down. And reflect.
And right now it's all about how do we get back to going outside safely, because everybody's trying to go out. They're the rules have changed now. So what do we do?
Oh yeah. It's such a trick because even before all this, more recent chaos, I was always, I grew up. I seemed super outgoing or ready. I seemed like a risk taker. I was for sure a Chucky Finster type as a child. So I played safe. I've been playing it as safe as possible. I'm not leaving. Yeah. And truthfully, I was already getting into the mindset of not leaving the house till 2021. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, since the quarantine started, you're I'm ready for till next year. Yeah.
I was I'll see you summer 2021. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's when I'll resurface. That's what I was already wrapping my head around that.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's where my head was at.
Me too. I'm honestly not ready until we let a few people outside at once, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. I will say, though, that, and maybe it's because of the quarantine or, I'm someone who just self-reflects on a daily basis anyway. When I and I don't cry, listen, and I had a week of quarantine where 3 different TV shows brought me to tears. And I was is this what am I doing the work? Is this what mental health looks like, or am I just going crazy? I don't know.
What were the shows?
How to Get Away with Murder, and this HBO show called We're Here.
Yeah.
Basically, it's Queer Eye, but with drag queens, so it's better. Okay. I'm sorry.
I'll check that out. So what we've been talking about this entire episode of the show have been the recent protests and everything surrounding the U.S.'s reaction to the death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd. How have you felt about how we have reacted as a society or as a group of people?
I think that I really wasn't paying attention to the news. I was really in hermit status, and this murder is what really it didn't. I don't want to say it breathed life into me, but it lit a fire on my ass, like it did with a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But when the reaction is like more than what I even like imagined it was. When I saw a map the other day on whatever news station, and there were protests happening in all 50 states.
Yep.
And it's wild to me. And I'm someone who's like I'm not going out to the protest. Like I've got asthma that can get pretty bad at times. So
Yeah.
as an immunocompromised person, I'm just trying to do what I can from where I can.
Yeah.
So like I think just getting doses of what's happening out in the streets and just seeing people really wake the fuck up, seeing people that I have known were getting tired of me saying Black Lives Matter years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't have like pettiness towards it. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. But there is still a lot of negative shit going on out there, unfortunately.
Definitely, and I think too, it's like we need to push the point that we're trying to get is that we want equality for all, and
Yes.
and if there's one mistake that any of us trying to fight for that cause, they're gonna pick at that one and they're gonna say, oh well, you're not doing it right because of this. So it's hard for people to do that the right way. So
yeah,
we're trying. Is it?
And this is not at any means like a liberal versus conservative issue. This is a humanitarian issue. But if we look at the messaging that Republicans have been able to lay out, it's been like we can pretty much put it into bullet points over the past year. So it's usually like something about things that are against social programs, against abortion. Like we can pinpoint certain issues that we know that they're going to tackle.
Yeah.
Whereas on the liberal side of things, it's a spider web, it's a cluster. But if we can, pinpoint or just be very deliberate and very intentional about where we want this to go, then I think that's the way to do it. At least to get the ball rolling so that they can hear shit. And we've already got charges, so that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, we're just slowly, getting stuff to happen,
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned, you said you're not out there protesting, and it's a very valid thing. That's what we've been telling people on the show too. The coronavirus is still out there, and you can't risk your life. You even though you want to help, you have to keep your distance as well. So it's hard. So one thing that you're doing, and that's what I brought you on here to talk about, was you're streaming on Twitch to raise money for the defense fund, like we mentioned at the beginning. So how did you get into streaming to begin with?
2019 was, do you remember being at the end of 2019 and everybody saying, God, I cannot wait for 2020. I would have run back to that dumpster fire in a second. So I was getting to the end of 2019 and I was just going through, realizations. I'm big into reflection, as I said, and I just realized that I was trying to get a lot of purpose and meaning from other people, or just shit that I didn't really want to be doing. And I just started thinking about, I've been thinking about how I used to always play video games, like whenever the fuck I could. And it was a combination of thinking about that, and then drag started just creeping into the corner of my eye also as something that I could do. And then it just became this thing to just sort of, I guess, satisfy my inner child. And it's been great. I've been having a great time with it.
It's really fun to see you on there. And what you played some of the Resident Evil, the older ones, right? Is that what you played, the Resident Evil game?
Yeah, when I started, I was like, okay, I just thought of like two of my favorite franchises, Final Fantasy and Resident Evil, and I was like, dope, let's start there. And I started at 0, and I'm playing through them in order with Resident Evil. Final Fantasy is going to take fucking forever.
Oh, there's so many of those.
And it's ironically not final.
Never is. So you're going on there and you're streaming and you're encouraging people to donate. And I saw that during this week you said 14 days left. What are you working towards? Go ahead.
So for basically what I want to do, there's so much going on right now. So I want to, and there's so many causes that have funds being sent toward them. So for the first half of the month, we're going to be continuing to raise money for the Mass Defense Fund through my Twitch channel, and then that's going to go until June 19th. And for anybody that doesn't know, June 19th, also known as Juneteenth, 1865 was the day that the last slaves were officially emancipated and freed. I mean, as we know, slavery in various forms has continued to live to this day, but that's the day that we celebrate because it centers it more on the Black community and Blackness as opposed to Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War.
Yeah.
And then after the second half of the month, we're going to be raising money for the Black Visions Collective, which is a Black trans-led organization based out of Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
So in the wake of other things that have been going on, we also want to spotlight specifically our Black trans community, who has also been facing a lot of violence at the hands of people.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to remember too. Is just because right now we're protesting for the death of George Floyd, and we want changes in police brutality, there's so many other issues that we can't lose sight of. And,
absolutely.
And we're always, we can't just forget. We can't just, every time there's another viral video, we go back to it. It has to be a thing you think about every day, like how you can improve the world, even in doing a little bit a day,
Exactly. And, we're no longer in a place of, like, let's get back to normal. We need to be, because normal was getting people killed. Yeah. And so we need to evolve to a place where, right now we're fighting for Black lives and focusing on the policing aspect of that. Because fighting for Black lives is a huge issue. And we need to make sure that we carry this forward, because the oppressor will always want to target somebody, and we need to make sure that we're looking out for humanity.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. And thank you for calling in. I know we had some connection issues, and we have a wardrobe change as well.
It was Blackout Tuesday for a second. I was like, you have an opportunity.
Is there anything else you want to talk about you have coming up?
I just want to, one main takeaway I want everybody to have is, take responsibility for you. And take responsibility for your community, your organizations that you've been a part of. I was somebody who was a part of a fraternity organization, and I'm not talking about a Black fraternity organization. I'm talking about white, rooted deeply in racism, and these are just things that I learned over time. Mm-hmm. So I think that I'm going to be making a push to actually call out Greek organizations. Fraternities and sororities are places that were born out of racism. These are places where these ideas have continued to fester, and where they can continue to have a place to just sort of grow. So I think that's a huge thing we need to focus on. Everybody needs to reach out to just their own community. You're there, you're on the ground floor, see what's going on, even if it's from home, and talk.
Just reach out and talk. Well, thank you for talking to me. And like I mentioned at the beginning, at Sixy Baby on Instagram, SIXYBB, and it's the same thing, streamlabs.com/60baby, twitch.com/60baby. Thank you, Rudy Six, and we'll hope to have you in the studio when this is all over in next year, summer 2021 quarantine.
I can't wait to go on a post-apocalyptic tour. It's gonna be fun.
All right, man. Thank you, and we'll be back on the Rodriguez Show.
Take care.
All right, man. Thanks. Have a good one.
Hey, be well, Caesar. Appreciate you.